For the past few years, I've been on a vegetarian diet, which is a lacto vegetarian diet. And I was eating only milk and dairy products. I was not eating eggs. I was not eating meat. I was not eating any animal foods. I was only eating carbohydrates, natural plant products, and also milk and dairy products. And the only source of protein was for me is dairy products because I can't get a full source of protein from plant and everything like plant seeds and everything. The only first class protein was for me is milk and dairy products. And it was very difficult for me to gain muscles at that time because I was also eating a lot of carbohydrates. Because you can't get a large amount of protein from dairy products if you are eating like a cottage cheese and curd and everything. You have to get a lot of carbohydrates from that. And I was training hard in that period of time. And I practiced this diet for 2 to 3 years. But I was not getting so much proteins so that I can build a large amount of muscles and build an aesthetic body. Because we need aesthetics. We don't need a bulky kind of muscular physique. We need an attractive and aesthetic physique. So in this guide, I'm gonna tell you about the nutrition and diet for building an aesthetic body. And I will give you a step-by-step process of understanding about nutrition and macronutrients and how to bulk and what protein sources to rely on. Step 1: Overcoming junk food addiction. Imagine a 10-year-old kid whose parents give him few pennies every single day to buy some snacks, to buy some chips and everything, to buy some chocolate. I was that kid. My parents gave me few pennies every single day, and I spent most of my pocket money buying snacks and buying chips and chocolate 3 times a day. I was totally addicted to snacks and junk food. Like I spent most of my time watching TV and cartoon whilst I was eating some snacks, eating some spicy snacks. And I love to eat some chips and chocolate, but my favorite was spicy chips and spicy kind of snacks. That's why I was not fat because I was not eating too much sugar. And honestly, sugar was not like totally likable for me. I don't like sugar at all throughout my childhood. And as I grew up, I discovered diet planning and fitness and everything. And and somehow like one of my sister who was also fat asked me about the diet planning to diet chart. How can she also like lose fat? Because I was also like fit, although I was eating some snacks and junk food, but I was also like fit in that period of time, like when I was 10, 12 years old. And she asked me about the diet. And this was strange for me to not get fat whilst I was eating junk food. And I don't recommend you to do that because every person has like a different body type, and I was not eating too much sugar. That's why I was not getting fat. I was eating some bullshit like snacks, junk food, processed food, but that was spicy, too spicy. Or maybe you're addicted to some sugar or spicy food, or maybe you're addicted to some sweets or some sugary things, but you have to realize that it's not gonna serve you in the future for your better health. Like it's not gonna serve you any better in the future. You have to realize this thing that the only way to build muscles and the only way to build an aesthetic body is to eat healthy and eat more protein. There is no way like the dirty bulking or something else. There is no way like that. You have to be on a specific diet. You have to be on a specific healthy diet, which is going to serve you better in the future. And the only way to do is by learning about the diet and macronutrients. And I have done it by myself. Honestly, you don't have to break the old habit, but to make the new one. You have to make a new habit by learning about macronutrients, by learning about the diet and eating healthy. And you have to learn it from a professional valid source. And most people made this habit of eating junk food throughout the years. This is a bad habit they have practices over a decade or two. And I've seen most of people like 30 years, 40 years old, they're still eating junk food and still eating sugary carbohydrates and so many processed junk food. And they're still struggling to overcome this habit. And I'm going to give you some actionable steps that you can do right now in your environment to get rid of this bad habit and to make a new one. And what I've done it in the past is I was get like totally addicted to like junk food. So what I've decided is to not get any like to not buy any snacks, to do not buy anything at all in my home. And my home is like there's no such thing as like chocolate or chips or spicy food in my home. I don't want it in my home. This is outside of the place because I don't trust my brain at all. Because if, like, for example, if you're hungry and there's nothing to eat and there's only one thing like chocolate or sweets or something else, you're gonna end up eating it. Like, so get some specific better choices in your home. Instead of buying some snacks or something else, buy some healthy food options in your home, and you don't have any choice to eat snacks at all. You only have some better option in your home like protein stuff or like meat or eggs or something else in your home, and you're eating it. So you have to get rid of that thing from your environment, and you have to change your mindset about that thing, that if I am hungry, there is only one options on two options or three options to eat in your home, which is totally healthy for you, and you can't eat that much. That's not gonna end up making you fat. And honestly, I promise you, it's going to be easy. It's going to be very easy if you practice this thing. Like if you don't buy anything at all, if you just buy some healthy food options, it's going to be very easy because you're not breaking the old habit now. You're making the new one. You're buying some new things. You're learning about some new foods, some new macronutrients which is going to serve you better in the future, which is going to make you fit and healthy. Step 2, understanding macronutrients. In 2020, I bought a fitness nutrition course because I was struggling with muscle gaining and understanding about protein, fats, and carbohydrates. I was not gaining muscles because I was eating, I don't have any idea what I was eating. Like I was eating bread, some cottage cheese, maybe some dal, some rice and or bread or something else here and there. But I had no idea what I was eating. I know the sources of protein and stuff like soybeans and stuff, but I was eating some, you can say like a processed, ultra processed foods, which I don't want it to be. Like my skin quality was not better. My organs were not healthy at all. I was like getting some pimples. I was also not getting muscles at all. So that's why I ended up buying a course because I was also curious. Like, honestly, I was curious about this thing that I also wanted to learn about this thing because, like, in the pandemic, I have nothing to do. Like, so that's why I ended up buying this course. And honestly, it was very interesting. It was totally about nutrition and some history of nutrition, how the diets are changing, and what protein sources we should rely on, the fats and carbohydrates, and how the and it destroys all the belief of myself, like and it destroys all the belief that were held in my brain, in my mind, about the diet, about the junk food, and about the nutrition. And I'm gonna tell you about the protein, fats, and carbohydrates in this section of this video. So let's talk about protein first. Protein is a essential macronutrient which is needed for your body. Like if you see yourself in the mirror, but you see your skin, you see your hairs, your teeth, and your nails, and your muscles, and your bones. Everything is made up of protein. There are different type of proteins. If you see your hairs, they are made up of protein which is called keratin protein. If you see your skin, they are made up of collagen protein, and muscles are made up of protein. So we need proteins to survive. We need protein. And our body also made some kind of essential proteins inside of our body, like, and there are some protein which is needed every single day from the outside source. Like for example, you have to eat meat, you have to eat eggs, or maybe some other dairy products. If you are vegetarian, there is only one way. You have to eat some animal protein which comes from like animals, some cow milk or something else, right? So you have to eat protein which is very essential for you, because you are only made up of protein, right? So you have to eat protein. And so many people think that protein is not good for you. When you eat whey protein, when you eat a large amount of protein from your diet and everything, you're gonna end up getting some kidney fail or something else. It's not good for you. But it is not true. You are made of a fucking protein. You have to eat more protein. And you are thinking about like I'm I'm getting some kidney failure from the protein whilst you are eating some junk food. You don't have to overthink about that. Just rely on some good protein sources. Now let's talk about fats. There is so much controversy about these fats. Fats gonna end up making you heart attack or something else. Saturated fat is not good for you or something else. But it is very essential. Fats are very essential for you. If you have no fat in your body, if you don't eat any fat, you're gonna see some subtle things like a dry skin and some brain fog and not able to focus. Your brain needs some fats to survive, like your nervous system, your your brain cells, they need fats. Your organs, we have fats in our body around our organs, and they need fats to survive. So we have to eat fats, and fats are not gonna end up making you fat. Honestly, they are the best source of energy because they are high in calorie. Like there is another source of energy which is carbohydrates, which is 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates, and fats give you 9 calories per gram of fat. So which is better? Fats only, which is like double, more than double. So fats are all obviously better, but so many people don't eat fat because they think that it's gonna make them cholesterol, high cholesterol, or make them fat and everything. But it is not true. Fat is not gonna making you fat. It is carbohydrate, it is sugars which is making you fat. Fats are essential for you. And fat doesn't spike up your insulin like sugar does. Now let's talk about the controversial thing, which is carbohydrate. So, over the last 70 years, we have been eating carbohydrates a lot because in the 1970, the food triangle, which is like this, has changed. We have to eat a lot of carbohydrate, which is the baseline. The baseline of our diet should be carbohydrate. I'm not telling you to do this, but the food sciences, like the food researchers and everyone tells us that you have to eat a lot of carbohydrate, which is the baseline, and then we have to eat protein and everything, and the small amount of fat in the top. We don't have to eat a lot of fats, a small amount of fats. And this should be the other way around. We have to eat a lot of fats and the protein and a little bit of carbohydrate, which is not needed at all. There are two types of carbohydrate, which is simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrate. Simple carbohydrate as like they gives us instant energy and also like instant dopamine, instant sweety kind of flavor. When you eat a chocolate, it gives us the sweety flavor and it gives us the energy, but it also spike our insulin level instantly. And there's other carbohydrate which is called complex carbohydrate, which doesn't spike our insulin level instantly, but it spike our insulin level like this. and it has a lot of fiber in it. It gives us the constant energy, which is like a not bad for you, but it is not the better option. You don't have to only rely on like complex carbohydrates for the energy, because there are so many better options. Complex carbohydrates are like wheat, grains, rice, and some vegetables, some whole vegetables, which comes in some fiber. You have to eat a lot of bulky fiber for it, which is complex carbohydrate. And honestly, if you see our ancestor, they don't rely on some chocolate, on some processed food. They are cooking some uh mostly it's like 100 in putting some 100 ingredients in or something else and make some dishes and everything. They are rely on some single ingredient foods, which is meat. This meat comes in single ingredient. There is nothing in it. You have to just cook it or roast it or something and put some amount of a salt in it and just eat it. And some eggs, you have to boil it or make an omelette of it. And milk or some vegetables which comes in single ingredient, and also maybe some amount of fruits, which is like a desert. They just rely on some single ingredient foods. Like there are whole natural foods. They just rely on it. They don't overthink about eating some sweet dishes or something or processed food or something else. They just rely on meat or eggs or something or some dairy products. There are no dairy products at that time, but they just rely on meat, hunting, gathering. And that's they hunt meat and they gather some fruits or vegetables. And most people nowadays, if you see your snacks, what you're eating from morning to evening, there are so many ingredients in your diet. There are some bullshit hundreds of ingredient in your diet. Like if you buy some protein snacks from grocery stores, and if you see the pack from behind and you see the ingredient list, I promise you there will be like more than 10-20 ingredients in it, and which is not good for you, which is like preservative thing. They put some hundreds of ingredient in it to make it shelf like life longer, which is not good. It is going to make your organs unhealthy. So don't rely on some bullshit hundreds of ingredient foods. Just rely on some single ingredient foods. And the list is like meat, eggs, dairy products, vegetables, and fruits. You don't have to eat anything else. And honestly, when you have a small amount of list in your diet, it is so simple and easy to bulk up. It is so simple. Step 3, bulking. 2 months ago, a friend of mine was telling me about his diet, like what he was eating in a day. And he was eating a lot of carbohydrates. He was eating some rice and some dal, some Indian curry and everything. And he was eating 3 times a day, and there was no protein at all. And he was struggling to fat loss and bulk up. Like he also wanted to gain a lot of muscles and also wanted to do fat loss, and which is not which is not possible when you're eating a lot of carbohydrates. And I told him like about his diet, like why you're eating a lot of rice and everything if your goal is to do fat loss, because he was also like fat like 20 more than 20% of body fat. And he was thinking about like more eating is equal to more like muscles. If he eat more, he's gonna end up making some more muscles, which is not true. So many people overthink about this thing, and they're brain dead about this thing, that if they eat more, like whatever they eat, they're gonna end up making some more muscle because they are also training, which is not true. Like our body is made up of certain macronutrients, and we have to eat that specific macronutrients to build some muscles, which is like not which if he was not getting from some rice and grains and everything. We have to get some macronutrients, some specific macronutrients from specific diet to not get fat and to build some muscles. And honestly, dirty bulking is not good for you. It is not good for your health. It is not good for your organs. It is not good for your overall body. And if you see our ancestors, they don't have any problem of excess body fat. They've always been lean throughout the history of lifestyle. Like they've always been lean, and there is some like from the past hundreds or 200 years, we are getting fat because of some shit processed food, some junk food diet. We are getting fat. We have discovered this fat kind of thing from the last few hundreds of years because our ancestors don't eat shit processed food. They don't have any processed food at all. And if you eat right foods, the right single ingredient foods, you're not gonna end up getting fat. You will be always lean. For me personally, I've always been lean and I'm not dirty bulking or anything. I've been always on lean bulk. I'm not getting like I'm bulking right now. I'm around like 150 pounds, but I'm not getting fat. I still have abs. I still have veins on my abs, lower abs. I still have veins on my quads. I still have shredded like threading shoulders and everything. I still have like all the cuts and everything because I was not eating the wrong sugary foods. I'm only eating some meat, eggs, and some single ingredient foods, maybe some vegetables and rice. Rice comes in also single ingredient, but I'm not relying on that. And as you work hard in the gym, you have to be on calorie surplus diet because you're pushing hard in the gym. So you have to be on calorie surplus. You have to eat more. Like this on analogy is true that you have to eat more to get big, but you have to eat the right food also, which I've already told you about this thing that but foods you have to eat, but you have to eat more also. You have to increase your protein intake like there is like 25 to 30 grams of protein in 100 grams of meat, and there's like 6.5 grams of protein in an egg, whole egg, and some other like protein sources also. Yeah, you can check that. And you have to increase the protein intake by doubling your body weight. Like if your weight is 70 kilograms right now, you have to double it, multiply it by 2, which is 140. You have to eat 140 grams of protein every single day. Or maybe you can do it like if you are calculating in pounds, calculate in like 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight, which is 2.2, like which is also good. If your intensity is good, like if you are 150 pounds right now, you have to eat like over like 150 pounds or 140 pounds. You have to increase the protein intake also. And as you increase the weight, as you increase the muscle mass, you have to increase the protein intake also. Like if I'm getting like 160 pounds in the next month or in the next 2 months, I'm gonna increase the protein intake also. Because I wanted to increase like more muscle mass. And I'm on lean bulk, so I'm gonna increase the protein intake because my muscles are made up of protein. So I need protein. And you can also increase the carbohydrates to get more energy, but you have to increase the carbohydrate from good sources like the complex carbohydrate, which is single ingredient carbohydrates, which comes in like rice and grains and vegetables. And I don't recommend bread at all. Like bread is processed and which is not good for you. You can eat rice, but not in a large quantity, which makes you like fat. Increase some amount of carbohydrate to get energy. And I recommend you to eat carbohydrates only before your workouts, only before you're gonna use that energy, because otherwise you don't need energy in your day. Like you have to eat all of your carbohydrates before the workouts, like 2 3 hours before all the workouts. You have to eat fruits before the workouts and all of the carbohydrates before the workouts, because you're gonna use that energy after that. So it's not gonna make you fat. And personally, I'm using it over the years and I'm not getting fat. It is very difficult for my body to get fat because I'm doing the right things. I'm doing all the right things. If you really wanted to build a steady body and you wanted to get jacked and save 2 years or more than 2 years of your lifetime, then I have built an aesthetic body program where you can get all the training programs and all the personalized diet plans, which is the second link in the description. So, this is all for today. See you, bro, in the next time.